gonna do this.
Oh, Joe! Oh wait, that's not even what is. I don't know. What is that? 3, 4.
Hello and welcome to Toronto Ultra's Merk and Maven podcast. We are in for a very sexy day. Back from LA,
Episode
ready
4.
to get rocking. Episode 4.
4?
This is what we're gonna enjoy today. Joe slept 12 hours last night. He never sleeps more than like 8 or 9, and he is just mentally fried today. And I'm excited for him to just like not be able to talk. It's gonna be fun.
There's a good chance that happens. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, first of all, we're old. And events now kick my butt. They really do. I don't know what it is. But then afterwards, like 100 Thieves were in LA. They're obviously out there. They had some like parties. I'm not like a huge partier anymore. But the fact is I went to say hello, but I had to wake up at like 3:30 in the morning for my flight home. So that did not help. And flying back to Columbus right now stinks because there's just no directs since COVID. They got rid of that route.
I forgot that was a thing because you had directs for a long time. I was in bed at 8 p.m. playing Diablo, I think, that night. So I did nothing. I started listening to an audiobook. Apparently that Sandman show came out on Netflix. So I had bought the book like years ago and never listened to it. So I listened to that and played Diablo all night. That was what I did. And then I felt rested and slept great. And I feel good.
What time was your flight the next day? Like 9?
9. So yeah, I was up at like 6:45 or something. It was easy.
Good to yo. Good to yo.
Wasn't bad at all. But
that's been your thing though, just playing Diablos.
I just played Diablo and I read a book, dude. I just read like the first 3 Doom books. I'd read the first one a lot, but I read 2 and 3 finally. I started Sandman. I just like run around mindlessly, just murdering those stupid demon pieces of shit, and I read books.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is how dedicated he is. So, it's after Championship Sunday. The Thieves just win. Okay. We end up, Jackie and his family are in town. They invite us over to like a close bar. We're just having a couple of drinks, having some like bar food, which is pretty good. Pizza, wings, like the good stuff, mozzarella sticks. And Maeve's looking around and he goes, man, really feel like killing demons. And Jack and I just go, all right, play some Diablo. In the middle of the bar, around, I don't know, 50 other people, just starts playing his iPod or iPad, dude, just playing Diablo. Just in front of the bar.
That happened. Those damn demons, dude, they just keep coming back and someone's got to take care of them. And that's my job. But no, I've got a problem. I just like to play video games quite a bit. But dude, I'm going to tell you
a problem. You haven't allowed this to turn into like a normal problem. Like,
no.
Like usually there's a game in which in the past it was Path of Exile.
New World and Lost
Times. Yeah. Not like horrible with Lost Ark. You had a couple of days every now and then. You were a little bit better about it, or you just lied to me, which could also be true.
I was a little better. New World, got me. Well, what's nice is like since I just played on my iPad, it's easier for me to just like get in bed and throw on a book, and then I get tired and go to sleep. Versus like when I sit at my setup and hours go by, next thing I know it's midnight, and like my brain needs to wind down. Next thing I know it's 3 a.m. Yeah, I would get the blender with those games, but it's easy with Diablo.
Well, you would go back into bed and then read.
I'm gonna
in threads.
Oh yeah. But I'm gonna tell you this story. I thought I was in the Matrix. Okay. Like, all right. So I said Netflix, I guess, has a new show called Sandman, which is based on this book, right? It's like a fantasy book by Neil Gaiman. Gaiman. I would never remember.
Is it like an anime? Like the
no,
book?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It's about like the Sandman. Like if he was a god, basically, it's about like. It's crazy. I don't know how else to describe it.
The one who puts stuff in my eyes while I'm sleeping, dude?
Yeah, he handles the dreams. He's like the god of dreams. It's kind of nuts. But so I didn't know the show was out, and I forgot about the book. Miles told me about the show. I'm like, oh, I should read the book. So I start, and then I'm on my flight. And I don't know if you ever had like when someone's like watching a show across the aisle, but like a row or two in front of you, it's like hard not to like look at what they're watching. Like you just like see it, and you're like, oh, what's that? So like I'm sitting there listening to my book, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. What is that? I'm like, this show looks dope. Now I'm like, I've never seen this. That looks familiar. I'm like, what just happened? What? That's familiar. He was watching Sandman, and it was literally what I had just read in the book like 10 minutes ago. Like the episode was like going along with it. It was freaking me out. I just had to like close my eyes and I was listening, but it was trippy because it was just like, I don't know, like took my brain a little bit to realize it because I'd never seen the show. I don't know what the characters look like. I know nothing about it, but I was like, that's familiar. That's familiar. I'm like, oh,
Dude,
that's 'cause
I do that a ton on planes. I don't know what it is. I'll literally be watching someone, and I'm an aisle seat guy just because, like, I don't mind getting up for other people, but I don't like asking others type thing.
I had like an 8-year-old
But
girl that took the window. She got like 3 times. I could have drop kicked her, but I would not hit a child.
yeah, I just don't care. Yes, because I normally don't sleep that often. And so usually I'm an aisle guy. So I can see like lots of screens. And there's times where I'm like watching something and I'm looking at their screens, watching that more than mine. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, it's like
I don't
you
know
don't
what it
mean
is.
to.
I have no idea.
You don't even like mean to. You just like it's just like there in front. Dude, I don't know. Yeah, I have that issue too. I'm usually a window guy, but I just couldn't get a window, and yeah, it was trippy. But
Yeah.
nothing else is really happening exciting in my life except for
Same, man. Okay.
let's talk champs. It was a blast. I mean, we had a lot of fun. I don't really have any major complaints other than that whole audio fiasco, which Joe almost put his head through a wall, and it was something was like broken with the AC there. Apparently, like
We'll
they
tell a
put like
story. Yeah.
apparently what they say they put like hot water inside something instead of cold water or
So
something.
I don't know how old this place is, but so Thursday it was hot, like
Oh,
hot.
it was unbearable. I like didn't even want to be in the green room. I couldn't find anywhere cool. I was going through it because I'm fat.
And we're like, the AC is something like we just kept telling them something's wrong with the AC, something's wrong with the AC. I imagine someone got annoyed with us. So that night, they probably are like, all right, what did we do or what do we need to do? So I don't know how their AC runs in this giant arena, but I guess you have to put water in it. And they were using hot water or warm water instead of cold water. Is that a thing? Like putting water in an AC? Anyways, yeah, I guess it's a thing. And they were using warm water. The next couple of days were all right. It definitely got better.
It was still a little warm. We ended up getting like
Dude, it was just warm in LA, man.
we
It
had
was
4
hot.
little mini fans like in the green room, and I just like have one gaming at me at all times is basically what ended up happening. But
It was very humid, like super humid in LA this week.
well, it wasn't like Texas like humid or something, but it was just humid for LA. LA just isn't usually humid like ever. It's just they don't get rain, they don't get a lot of humidity, but it was just sticky. And whenever it's humid, doesn't even matter if it's that hot, I'm going through it. And so I can never live in Florida. I just die.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you just get. It's a tough one.
You looked at
You
me.
know, but
We went to get like this tacos. This one place. You had to like leave the hotel and walk down like I had to guess. We're talking about 100 flights of steps, something like that. Like it was a pretty steep thing of steps. And we walked down and we go get food.
I mean, 100 stairs.
100 stairs. What's flights of steps? What did I?
Oh, that would be a lot.
Oh,
I
that's
don't
like
know
100
how-
stories. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what I say? Yes, like 100 stairs. And I need to go back to the hotel after. And I guess there's like a trolley or something, but it was $1, but we didn't think they would take credit card. We thought they only take cash. Neither of us had cash. We're like, oh, we'll walk back up it. And I'm like physically a monster. I was like LeBron going up these steps, just really showing off my calves. But dude, once we were done joking, the back of your head's real sweaty. It's like, but like this,
You're like, dude. You're like, dude.
Oh.
We had to. You had to like take another shower.
I legit went back and showered again. It was something.
Yeah.
Well, where do you want to kick it off with Champs Talk?
Yeah, I mean, yes, everybody tuning in or listening. We're gonna go over CDL Champs if you missed it today. Probably go through the bracket, but I guess we'll probably start with challengers. We'll hit that quickly. If you missed the challengers finals, Iron Blood, they ended up taking it home, which was a bit of an upset. Ultra NA did get top 2, but it was Classic Mohawk, who was on Ultra, Exceed and Brack. They had to win 2 best of 5s. So first of all, congrats to them. I think they won like $100,000,
which is wild when you think about like compared to like pro prize pools years ago. It's insane.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, then they had to beat Ultra NA in 2 best of 5s. I mean, you could see they played in winners round 2 right here. It was a 3-0. But it felt like they just got hot. I mean, I saw some of the stats. Brack really popped off. Nikki D had some crazy moments as he always does. But Nikki D's here again. There he is. Just you forget about him and he pops back up. He's just, I don't know, definition of success.
Well, that's just one of those. I mean, how many times at the pro level have we had where like when you drop someone and make a change and it's like a dramatic one, it comes back to bite you. I feel
they
like
won the first event after it though in Boston.
That's true.
They did just win the other event.
I just feel like there's got to be a little bit of just like I don't know if mental edge is the right word, but like Mohawk had to be just twisted. Like just wanted to bury them, I'm sure. And I think if you're who was
Yeah.
it was Assault that came in for him, right?
Yeah, it was Assault, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Assault, I mean, I guess I just gotta think. I mean, he's been a pro. He's been literally an MVP at a champs for God's sake. But I just feel like there's got to be a little bit in your mind during that series, especially if you go down. Like we're gonna lose the team with the guy that they dropped me for. Like I don't know how much comes into play, but
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know Vanguard. Honestly, Altran A, when it comes to challengers, they may have had like one of the best years ever when it comes down to that level, how consistently they were. Obviously, they wanted to win this, and people view this as like, oh, they lost the base tournament, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, we saw it at the highest level, how many different winners we had. We finally had a back to back, but like they got top two again. So, and I think a lot of people are just kind of, I mean, even this roster, this has three former pros. Exceed was a sub. I think he had some appearances at the CDL level. Like, I mean, or sorry, yeah, him and then Classic and Brack. And then Mohawk's been a top AM for a long time now. Like, there's just so much. There is a lot of talent
yeah.
down low, just kind of waiting to see what happens.
I mean, we know what Classic has done. I mean, Brack at times was like a league
What was that,
MVP
Black Ops
type
4?
player. Like his stats were
Yeah.
absolutely nuts. So yeah, there's a ton of talent. I mean, I'm glad it. I think once it got rolling, most of the commotion died down. But I know there was like stuff circulating kind of day one when people were putting out images of what it looked like. And listen, I think Daniel, like CDL commish, like tweeted out like, "We hear you. We're working on stuff." I think the fact is this: there was not going to be any revolutionary change right before champs. It wasn't going to happen because usually to have major change, it is money. And there was not going to be a ton of money that appeared randomly in 2 weeks leading up to champs to solve issues. But it was just like, I think some people were disappointed with how it looked. You know, I talked to Clay and Fellow, and it was just, I guess they were like 144 hertz monitors. They felt like older ones, like not maybe some of the new 240 ones that the pros are playing on. And it's one thing that's weird. Now, hopefully they fix this. And I'm not going to go into like too much insane detail, but like for those that don't know, we haven't had like true LAN. I'm not 100%, but I'm thinking
They know now.
Black Ops 3 is the first time that I can remember. And a lot of games went to like online only. I'm assuming part of it is to deal with piracy. When you talk about who actually needs a true LAN feature, like, you know, when you'd be with your boys playing Halo 1 with a bunch of Xboxes connected, it's not many people now. Like everyone plays online. The people that need that capability is like us. It's not a lot. So it hasn't been like a thing for a long time.
Oh, it has since like this started like MW.
I know, because even Black
What
Ops
the
3 at
switch to
LAN, we had
PC?
no, because we had it Black Ops 3 on LAN.
Yeah,
Was an issue, I
that was an
remember.
issue of Black Ops 3, correct?
Oh,
But we saw it later.
okay. So it's been a couple years, I guess, where we haven't had it at all. So like
It
what
started
we
with
do,
like the PCs. That's what it was.
so what we do, just so people are kind of aware, to give you a little inside info, like on the pro side, we have like servers backstage. So the players are connecting to servers that are there. And I don't even want to know how much that costs to do, but there are servers on site, and that's what the pro players are playing on. I'm assuming it's expensive and a pain in the ass because that's not available for challengers right now. So that's why a lot of frustrations come, because they're there on LAN, but they are paying to like the closest server. Like they're literally playing online. Well, everyone is, but like it's not the same. So that's been one of the big frustrations, and that is hopefully something that'll get fixed. But I imagine I'm not knowledgeable to know 100%, but I assume that's a big just money thing. I would think, to have servers on site like that. I gotta think.
I would imagine you can just, if the game has it, you just connect Ethernets to PCs, right? I don't, or like to a hub, and you can connect.
No, I don't. I don't think it's even possible with the game. That's the
Oh,
problem.
not now. I'm saying other
Oh,
games, and I imagine it's a thing.
I don't know. I don't know.
I have no idea either. I mean, that seems like the old school way.
Well, I think part of it is just, I think a lot of them tied like everything just to. I think it was to combat piracy and stuff. I could be wrong, but like
No,
that.
you're
That's the
probably
big.
right.
The
I
big
just
fact.
imagine, like thinking about this, it doesn't seem like the hardest. They would just probably have to make the option to do it or look for it.
Yes, I mean, if you think that, I'm sure. Like, I doubt CS is like going through this type of issue. Probably not. But with our game being more console heavy, maybe it's just not something they thought to include. I don't know the exact answer to that, but I don't know. There were some frustrations, but
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
we have
know.
a picture for the people viewing like watching YouTube or watching live now. I think we have a picture of this set up. Here you go. Here's I mean, this kind of just looks like this is a warm-up station, right? So there was some frustrations a lot around this. I believe at first spectators weren't allowed. I think they were. I don't. I remember walking over there, but I remember tuning into the stream at one point and seeing other people around them. So I think spectators were able to see this. Listen, I'm all for the support of AMs and the challengers. I really am. I'm totally cool for it. From an outside perspective, though, and I've brought this up on this podcast, there aren't a lot of amateur other events that have this. Like, even to have this on LAN is in other games a pretty big deal. And I'm cool with it. I think it's awesome. And it's what we've had, we've had better in the past, which I think is
The
what we
issue,
always kind
right?
of go back to. And I'm happy that they were able to figure it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all hope it gets better. Just one of those things. I think the league needs to start making a lot of money on the pro side, and then it's kind of a trickle down effect. I think with everything, like once that becomes more profitable, and
Mhm.
I don't know, I think the whole just CDL in general has got kind of it affected all the orgs. It affected the just everything with COVID. Like it just kind of put everything on hold for 2 years. It almost feels like when it comes to just the ability to make money in certain ways. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And,
hope it
and
gets
I
better.
think, too, with like the setup, it's kind of tough. Like, I guess the way they probably could have done it, even in the backside, if they use the whole floor, like that's where the production was, that's where the desk was. Like, because normally at an event in like a convention center, they would probably just build like a little stage, almost like the feature station, which we used to have, right?
Yeah.
And they would just plop challenges right in the middle. That's normally what would happen. I just think because you were not in a convention center, you're in the arena. The big show is there. The floor is for floor seats. You're not going to have a challenger stage down there when spectators literally bought floor passes.
It's a venue limitation. It is. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one thing to look at. It could have been better for sure. Could have been worse. Could have been online. But hey,
Yeah.
um, congrats to them. I'm trying to think too. What Clay's team, they lost pretty early. That was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, he is kind of tweety. I mean, it was tough here for Clay. Hopefully he rebounds, but we'll see what's next for him. But he was in the gauntlet, that's for sure. I mean, at one point
He'll
he
be all
tweeted,
right.
but he had like 13 teammates over the course of some small period of time. I was like, oof. Challengers is a cutthroat. That is for sure. But all right, let's you want to start talking about the
They call it the pit for a reason,
main
Maeve.
event? Yeah, no, it is. It is. I wonder if
The main event.
my pits are okay for now.
Your pits.
Yeah, they're all right for now. But all right, so main side for CDL champs. I mean, I think we were
Hmm.
just really excited in general, just because say what you will about this title and the year and the fact you had 4 different winners at majors, but I know Joe and I both had a Phase Thieves final, so we felt pretty confident about that. But
I
it
did
was
not have
definitely.
Phase Thieves. You
Oh,
had it.
that's right. I had Phase Thieves. You had Optic Thieves, didn't you? Okay, well I take that back. I felt pretty confident about Phase Thieves final. Those are the only two teams I felt okay about based on recency bias with the major and Phase's consistency. But I think we'll agree in the history of champs, this was the one, regardless of format, that was probably the most wide open, where we were just like, we'll see. I don't know what to expect, and I think that alone just made it exciting. It just did. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen.
I think
interesting.
I think to your point. I mean, I think we wanted to start with day one, which was just like the round one matchups because they were all insane. Day one
Yeah.
of champs, all go to game 5, and I think that is just to show, to your point, what we talked about. Everyone was sent to the limit. Everyone was pushed to the limit. You had round 11s. So what? Let's just start with, I don't know. We'll start with London, Seattle. That was a game 5. Um, London lose both hard points. I think the first hard point was at Tuscan where Pride just literally destroyed. And then I think games
He was a
2 and
king of Tuscan. Like
no, he was this
so many
weekend. And
times
then
this weekend. Yeah.
and then games 2 and 3. I think you had some big London clutches, and it just felt like that's kind of what they needed, especially in the control. I think it was a Berlin control, and it felt like all of these clutches were going against London, right? Like just they were going to game five losing, going to game five losing. Now
Yeah.
after game three, I was like, this is gonna be it. They're gonna turn it around. Then map four happened where they blew a big hardpoint lead. They choked it, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I think at the time I really viewed it as them choking, and they should have closed it out and this and that. But with
Should have.
Seattle's run and how many clutches Seattle had in hardpoint, it's like, all right, well, I mean, they did it to everybody. I mean, I know we're going to
No,
further in the
I
bracket,
know they
but
did, but I mean, they were up 2-1 in the series. Like
yeah,
they
you're right.
could have
You're
won.
right.
They could have won 3-1.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's just like I guess I look at it differently now than I did then because of Seattle's run and just the clutch after clutch after clutch. And then what do they get to? Like 10-0 in hardpoint, 9-0?
9-1, I think they finished. They
Yeah, well, sorry, before
9-1.
they lost. So they were 9-0 and then they lost that last one, right?
Eight. Well, they're 8-0. Yeah, 8 or 9-0.
Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, they were undefeated until I think the map 4 versus Faze, which ultimately knocked them out. So yeah, I guess my point is just at the time I was like, oh, Ravens, but now I'm like, all right, Seattle, yeah, they did it the rest of the time. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just had Pred and Sib kind of do their thing throughout that, and I think just like one interesting note was like Nasty probably had one of his worst land series all year. He was kind of their lanimal.
The Rock.
Like Zero has been pretty solid, but Nasty has kind of been the most consistent one. He struggled in that series a bit, versus Seattle Surge, and now we're like, yeah, we kind of get why. But he has like a .77. You finally had moments though. You had moments for Gizmo. I think he had a great search and destroy. Throughout the weekend, you had Afro who really stepped up after map one. Like they kind of got destroyed after map one. Through map one, and then after that, he really was like kind of in the zone, kind of locked in. But yeah, just another one of what if that happens, right? And Sergio goes to losers.
I know we're going to touch more on Seattle as we go and stuff, but
Yeah,
just like high level, listen, I knew Pred and Sib were disgusting. I mean, there's no way around it. If you watched this year, you knew they were very good. But I guess I wasn't like sold. Like, let's say I was sold when Simp came into the league, and I'm like, this is a superstar for a long time. That changed over the course of the weekend for me. Like,
we changed it for you.
yeah, and maybe it's stupid that it took it that long to click for me, but like, I guess I've seen a lot of people come in as young players and like fry and put up stats, but something clicked this weekend, and we're like, oh god, they're going to be a problem for a while. They're nasty, man.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So what? Seattle just escaped that. Then up next, Boston Thieves was another round one, right? Another game 5, but this is a game 5 round 11.
Well, I want to ask you real quick before you like break it down. Do you think? I don't think we had this going game 5. We had this as like a 3-hour 3-1. I think in our brackets.
Yeah.
How much of an impact? Like you sit down to play, you're ready to go. Then there's a 2-hour server outage. Like how much does that play into this for you, or not? Not that much.
I mean, they didn't start the series yet, right? It was like right at the start of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if it, I think it affected both teams. I would assume.
Sure. Yeah. I was just curious because I didn't see it going 5, but then again, Boston at times looked great. So.
Well, I mean, it kind of starts out the way we thought. Like Boston win the first hard point, and we're like, whoa, hold on. You get like a crazy game out of TJ, which we kind of said, like if TJ plays well,
right?
Who knows what the heck can happen? But then, you get a search and destroy, which that's kind of, I mean, it's one of the reasons why LA Thieves were so tough to beat this weekend. Was not only were they ahead in respawn, but they were almost perfect in search and destroy at champs. I think they were like 6-1. Yeah, they were 6-1. So they win both of those searches here, and they do it in around 11. But you kind of saw it. I mean, they even beat them on a Berlin control where the Vivid's just going off. That was a crazy control. I mean, Thieves definitely threw some rounds, Breach threw some rounds. That's why we loved Berlin, but there were so many offensive round wins.
I mean, Octane had to be feeling good just with the S&D because you got to think over the course of his career, he's getting to a grand final with a 75% respawn win rate and a 25% search win rate. So like, to have a team that is rocking out in search, like I mean, think about it. Those LG teams, even I can't remember honestly. I don't remember the last Thieves like good team, the Black Ops 4 one. I don't remember what Search was like. I think it was probably pretty solid with those players on it, but like for the most part, in Octane's career, individually he's had good stats in Search, but his team's been dog shit. So it must feel good to be like I can rely on that 2 and 5.
Yeah, no, it really, yeah. But I mean, you think about this. Now, I think if like Thieves were to, I've had this question a lot. If Thieves are like drop, lose in the round one, I still think they make it to the final just with how good they looked.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess they would have like Seattle in losers round two. Like maybe that could go a different way. But I do think it would have a pretty major effect in the tournament. Like even say if it was Phase, because they would have to play like a Bocage hard point. Like they wouldn't have maybe the veto advantage that you're normally looking at, which I think really did help them. And we'll touch on it in the final. But you get rid of a couple of maps that maybe go against you. Who knows? But I
Well,
mean, and
I think they
go
would
ahead.
have too. I think they would have too. I mean, you and I talked at length last episode about sometimes it clicking for a team late and kind of figuring stuff out, and we were like, we think they did, but we're not sure. They made Vanguard make sense.
Well, I
So
think at first, I'll just briefly touch on this. Everyone's like, all right. I mean, even I was thinking this after this matchup, like, okay, like maybe it was just a really hot weekend for Thieves, Major Four. And then they played Optic, and I was like, nope, you were right. They're really good right now. I was like, oh my gosh.
that map one,
Talk
I was
about
just
getting
like,
choke slammed. Like, absolutely slammed. Like, I'm not kidding you. We were all sitting there like, holy shit.
yeah, that was
Okay.
beat down.
Well, speaking of Optic, they play Ultra. I think we knew this was going the distance, and it does. Goes to a game five. I think what I liked seeing was Kami and Kleenex getting back into form a bit for Ultra, but I think they did go down 2-0 pretty quick. They lost both Bokages, which was a problem because Ultra was a team that relied on Bokage a lot. They played a lot of Bokages. You're probably hoping to win one of those, and then maybe you win that series. But they lost both of them to Optic, and that put them in a pretty big hole.
Yeah, everyone has said it. I mean, Formal tweeted about it. We've said it a million times. Like this Ultra team at their best or worst is just not a team you want to play. They're going to be tough to beat. It just is what it is. And but it just doesn't. It's not like they're gods and horrible the next minute. They just, I don't know. They lack something this year. 100% this title did not work for them. But like, they're still not a team I'd want to play. And they were pushing people, man.
No, they were, and I think you saw like moments of it that Yavutsu control where they clutch up in that round five, and then you go to a game five all the way to a round 11 once again. He kind of said it right. Formally, he's like they're just hard to put away. We'll touch on Ultra a little bit later. Just wanted to talk about round one because
Yeah.
they were all game fives, but it's kind of what we thought with this matchup. Optic able to clutch it out. And then you have New York versus FaZe. Again, a big what if. I mean, New York go up 2-0. It's a very sloppy start from Atlanta FaZe. And then they just rip off three straight. And we have seen this New York team now. It feels like when they start off well, it's going well. When they lose, it just, I don't know. They go in that losers bracket. We saw it at Major 3 when they get double bopped. I guess I was expecting to see more from New York in the losers bracket.
Same. But it kind of goes back to the convo we had with Thieves. Like, was it a hot weekend or did something click? And I think we both thought for New York, probably leaning more towards a hot weekend.
Yeah, but we heard a lot about them in scrims.
Yeah,
too.
we did. I thought they were going to make more noise. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
I didn't have the faith in them I did Thieves, even though they were both just in a final and they'd beaten Thieves once. I just didn't have that same faith. But yeah, I definitely thought they were going to, I don't know, I guess not like shape the bracket exactly, but they were going to have a big impact, and they just didn't.
yeah, and then I mean, you kind of got a glimpse. Obviously, Cell was Cell, but this was a series, especially game 3 and on, where Abizi just takes over. We see like Prime Abizi, game 5, he goes 11-4. They beat him 6-2, and you and I were like, well, if Abizi's playing like that, they're going to be very difficult to beat. And they were. They got all the way to the final.
Yeah, I think, there were some rumors going around that maybe Abizi wasn't taking the game as seriously as he should have. And I think seeing his tweet after it all went down, there's probably some truth to that. And I think if Abizi was in this form and FaZe was playing like this, they would have won an event this year.
Mhm.
Just not with what Thieves hit. But Abizi over the last two events, like when it really mattered, I guess it seemed to me like he was like, all right, time to lock in. And you just saw Abizi again that we didn't see most of the year, to be honest. So only I guess that came sooner. They probably have an event one this year. They don't.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? All right, but then we'll just go on to kind of final finishes. Talk about sort of maybe their year. We'll start with Boston Breach. You can see they end up going down low, losing an Ultra 3-1, and not a series, not a good. They didn't show a good series here at all. Not like what they showed versus Thieves. I don't know if that Thieves series just kind of kicked their ass, like just to the fact where they lost momentum. Like there's two ways to look at that. Hey, we lost by one round. Let's refocus. But when you and I talked to Zin multiple times, even at Major Four, this squad supposedly was looking unbelievable, unbelievable in scrims. Like he thought they had a real chance to win the tournament, like a significant chance. And then they go to losers bracket, and it's just kind of they fall really flat. I mean, you get a horrendous series out of Vivid and Nero. Vivid is minus 24, and Nero is minus 18. They lose both hard points to Toronto Ultra, who this year just hasn't found a lot of hard point success.
Was there like a league wide agreement? Like, well, what did Pat used to say? Like, if they were scrimming somebody before a major, dude, they would just throw scrims, let them feel like gods, think they're frying, then just show up and put them to bed. Like, it's I'm sure there's not a ton of that happens, but I don't know, maybe it's just online, more comfortable, whatever the case was. You put a question here, like just in our notes, like, would you consider this a good year for Breach? And it's like a new brand. I think they definitely got some brand recognition behind whatever stuff with Sensor, having Methods, who's a great personality. I know you didn't win, but it's hard to win, man. And like they came in late. And I guess I would say you came in and you were competitive. I think it's a good start. It's hard to say it's like a successful year, but it's a good start.
I guess like for me, I really like this roster in this
So do
lineup.
I.
And
So do I.
I said before champs, I just don't know if they've had enough time. I don't know. That was the question mark to me. And we know with like Nero and Vivid, you can kind of go on this roller coaster. And I think you've kind of seen that. It's just how do they steady themselves out, pacing wise, get on the same page. And maybe they don't. Maybe you live and die by it. Like if they get hot, that's just it. I mean, shit, you even have TJ on this team. You're living and dying. Like I don't. They had to figure out some sort of system to hit that level. It just didn't happen for Boston Breach. And yeah, I mean, for their year, I think they have a solid base to build off of. I don't really know contract situations to go off of, but I think they have some options. And I think it's some spots where people will probably want to play. I've heard great things about the org from Zin. Just that like he feels it's a very good organization taking care of them. They've also put up some challenger events. They've talked about them being on challenger events. I'm sure you'll see some changes, but I think for a year one, it's a pretty darn good year.
It's a good
It
start.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're not gonna get into like roster mania stuff because, well, to be fair, I don't really know anything. I haven't really thought about it too much. But this is one of those teams that I would kind of like to see what they do with more time. But I just don't think there's any chance it'll be the same roster going in next year. I don't. There's gonna be too much. There's gonna be too much going on personally. But I kind of hope somehow it sticks. But we'll see.
The roster stays. I don't think it stays.
No, I don't either. I don't either whatsoever. I think there's like a 2% chance of that. But I guess I just feel like there is a much higher ceiling than maybe what we saw.
No, I agree. No, yeah, I definitely think so too. So then they end up dropping off, finish 7th, 8th. And then for London, and they do it again. They lose 2 game 5s. This time versus New York, they drop a game 5. Um, I mean, they were 1-3 in hardpoint over the week. Just felt like they can never find the momentum, the clutch moments. I just felt like they needed to win one. I felt like they needed to win one, and then maybe you can get going. But it just felt like that one match kept getting away from you. And what we saw in the winners bracket from Afro, we didn't see it in the losers bracket. I mean, he got fried. absolutely fried by New York. He was minus 31 over the series. And they are up 2-0. They're up 2-0. It's after that though, they just lose it all. I mean, they get reverse swept.
It's like weird because I want to say like part of it's probably young roster, maybe struggle with those clutch moments. You go ahead the mental game, but then I look at Surge. And like they have two rookies and they were clutch every time it mattered for the most part.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could use that as an excuse. Just yeah, I think you're right. Like they just needed
Momentum. You saw it in
momentum or
Major One.
confidence. It's like people don't talk about it a lot, but like it's just huge. Like just that belief that you can like
Oh,
do it.
100%.
Sometimes just doing it once, but they just it's like you just fall short and you fall short. It becomes like what is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you just like you always
Like, oh
expect it to
shit,
happen.
here we go again. Like,
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
yeah.
It's
So,
just the way they lost them too. Like, I mean, it's heartbreaking. They played really well, up 2-0 in the losers bracket, lose 3 straight. Look at the winners bracket, choke a couple of maps, boom, go to a game 5, get just punched in the face. And again, I think when it starts to unravel, how do you not unravel, right? It's oh shit, here we go again. Like you see that meme, like this is. I mean, it's kind of the meme of that. Like
yeah.
it is it. I just think they couldn't find any early success at tournaments after like the first major. And that's yeah, that ended it for London. This is another team though, I think a lot of options. Like I think, Afro is really interesting. It's probably who I would try to keep. I think Trey is still Trey. Um, I think we saw Nasty be a really consistent player. Gizmo's a big question mark probably for a lot of people, but another team I would say like will probably end up changing. I don't know how much, maybe a good amount of it, maybe not. We'll get into a whole roster mania. We're gonna have a ton of offseason
Scraps
stuff
and
to jump
Watkins are
into.
back, leading the Royal Ravens to victory.
Maybe, probably not though, because they didn't play this year.
No. I think I saw one of them tweet like, it's just making me want to get back in the mix, after watching Champs.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does. And I just want them to play again because they make me laugh.
I know they really do. So yeah, London they finished 7th, 8th. I just it sucks because after the first major, I was like, here we go. Like we got a good London team. I was really pumped up. Like having two international squads alongside Ultra. It just went away.
Well, what did somebody I guess I could save it for the Ultra conversation, but just the EU conversation in general. Like I saw someone tweet an image of like 4 players and it was like, who's like the best player without a ring? And it was like Gunless, Dashy, Bance, and I forget who the 4th was, but I replied to Madcat because he was making a case for Mance. I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you just think of, Dashy is still early in his career. Gunless is a beast, but he's had his shots, and Vance, like, he's just done so much. He's been like Europe's great hope for so long. Like, he's just been at the top. And I was wondering to myself, like, I know I'm on the Ultra podcast, but like, was last year like the shot for him, like in his career? Was last year the shot?
Because he has 2 runner up, right? Because he has Splice, perhaps 3. And he's got, last year.
And I'm just like, I just feel like it's like one of those people, always mess with Barkley and stuff. Like, never got his ring. He's just one of those players you just feel like should have one. And I just don't. I don't know. I mean, even if we're hoping like this Ultra team stays the same because we think they can be nasty in any title, it's just like it's tough because EU COD's always struggled because it's been. Most of the Juggernaut teams have been in North America for the most part. But like you just, you had the Optic Dynasty throughout Bance's career. Then now you have this Phase Dynasty. Like getting wins is hard. It just is. And I guess moral of the story, I hope last year wasn't like the last shot. I hope he gets another good run.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with them. I guess we could probably let's go to Ultra. We can just skip down to them because they get 5th, 6th. They end up losing to Seattle Surge. I had a perfect bracket up until this point.
Same.
Surge, I just wasn't sure about because the way
up and down.
The way stage in Major 4 went. Like I know they won Major 3, but I was like, I don't know, maybe they got figured out. Things must not be going well. And they proved me wrong. I kind of had Ultra going on a mini run. Instead, it was Seattle Surge. They were able to take them down 3-1. For Ultra, listen, you get a 50% hardpoint win rate over the week. You go 3-0 in control. If I told you that, you're probably thinking it's a lot better. The problem is they didn't win a search and destroy. Not one. And that can happen. I mean, they know that. If there's a
Yeah.
team that knows that, it's this freaking Ultra team.
Yeah, I think at least my logic with like Surge and Ultra, like with those two teams going into this was sort of around like it's champs time. Like you have the experience with somebody like Bance, this team that got to the final last year. You know, you've been there. You've done it. You can get hot and you can make a run. You're a tough team to beat. And then for Surge, I was like, it's like the opposite. Like you just got all the first champs for people. So that's kind of how I saw it. That shit did not matter. It didn't. But yeah, that's where my bracket like really. I think I had them winning that, and then I think maybe one more series, or maybe it was just that one. I forget. Maybe it was just one more series. But I just can't. I just pray. If you think about the future of Ultra, I just pray that they at least stick with it through first event, whatever, second event of next year. Like, I hope so. Cause maybe it's just bias in me because I'm on the podcast, but no, I just really like this team. I do. I like this team. They've been, as an organization, they've been so good. I think one of the best in the CDL when it comes to this branding, growing the brand, pushing the players, doing content. The players all seem to vibe. They're fun to watch. I hope so.
Yeah, I think the issue is just sort of what we talked about at the top of the show, just how much talent is down there, right? I mean, this is a team that's literally breeding it with Toronto EU, Toronto NA. They did it in year one. And I think they're pretty cutthroat with based what we saw after year one. Now, there's like been discussion around like Cammy and Kleenex. Like, are they the ones to give up? And yeah, I'm like, what? I'm like, what? I mean, like maybe they didn't have the years that you maybe wanted, but I think you even saw glimpses at champs. To me, I mean, that's hard for me to let go, especially the years that they've had prior. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. That is a hard job. That is a tough job.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess if I was like a gun to my head, had to pick two that I was going to build around, that'd probably be it. No, I'm not trying to knock the other guys. That's just if I was general manager and I was going to build around two players, if that's our rule here, that's probably two I'd build around.
I mean, it's a tough job, right? Because there is a lot of success with this lineup. There's also not the best year this year. You could say Vanguard was Vanguard. This team didn't figure it out. So you could go your route and say, let's see how it is early on, the start of next year. If it's not, try something else.
At what point do you like, let's just tangent here. At what point do you like, can you earn like a whoopsie in the sense of, they were the second best team for an entire year, made a run to the champs final the year before. Like, what do you have to do where it's like, okay, it's an off title. Like, you've done enough. We're going to stick with it. Is that just not a thing now? Probably not. It's just too cutthroat. But at what point do you earn, like, I don't even know what the wording is. Like, you earn like a get out of jail free card. Like, we suck this year, but we're sticking together.
I mean, I think if there's a team, it's probably them, right? Like, I think everyone kind of knows. Like, I get it. Like, the difference between Cold War and this, like,
one made sense, one didn't.
Yeah, I mean, one required a lot of teamwork, made sense spawn-wise. You could totally outplay people left and right. And the other, shit, you'd get spawned behind, and that was it.
Like what, Thieves somehow kind of made it.
No, of course they did. Of course they did. I'm not taking away from them. It's just we've had this convo. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I think as CDL fans, there's a lot of love for this roster and just respect for this roster. Because I mean, yeah, we talked about with Foremost tweet, like those guys are just so hard to put away, and they are.
And I think I just root for the underdog, and when I say underdog, it's just like EU COD in a way. I know it's Toronto, but it's like a lot of EU players, and I guess I just you know how I am. I mean, I want a Spanish, German, French team that are good more than anything in the world. Like I want that international vibe. So
the other thing is too, like on the other side of this, depending on restructuring rosters and stuff, like if I'll be honest, like say all four were let go, I imagine majority of them are probably picked up. Like I do.
I would think they all are. They should be. Because I mean, even if you would say, who would you target that's like late in their career? Like, man, it's obviously he'd be the obvious one. That's like, he's been competing since the '80s. There were times where he just stepped it up when he needed to. Like, I don't know. I think the game 5 that they lost to get knocked out, I think he was the one kind of carrying the load. Like, he still has stuff left in the tank. And I just
If he wants
I
to
love
play.
him. If he wants to, yeah, it's true. But
Yeah.
I love me some Fancy Pants.
Yeah. So Ultra, I mean, they had some good moments this year. They had a couple of top fours at majors, a top 3 at their own, almost to a final. This top 6, I mean, they lose at game 5, round 11. They lose to just a hot ultra or surge team.
Well, what were all their
Top,
finishes? Do you have it in front of you?
I could probably pull it
I'm
up.
wondering if they were like the second most consistent team outside of Faze. If you're telling me they got like top 4 at all majors outside LES.
Well, no. I said a couple. It was
I thought you
major
said
3, major 4, or
kickoff. They
major
got
1. Sorry, or
kickoff.
yeah,
They were in
major
the
3,
final.
major 1. Yeah,
Kickoff.
kickoff final. Major 2, they lost. I mean, major 2, they went. I don't know, top. They had, I don't know. They had a pretty solid year. It looks like.
Yeah, I was just curious if they like. I still have it in front of me. If they were like almost like top 4 every time, like that's actually compared to most teams, that's pretty damn consistent this year. Honestly,
I'm pretty sure they had like like the 4th highest. Someone said in the Twitch chat, 4th highest behind Optic, Thieves, and Faze in terms of average placement.
And 2 of those teams won, so they were pretty damn consistent for.
Okay, so
winning.
major 4, top 6, major 3, 3rd, major 2, they got 9 through 12. That's probably the one that hurts them. I think they lost to LAG, right? I think that was like they did. They lost
started
to LAG.
losers and lost to LAG or something, right?
Yes, that was the start of that.
Yeah.
And then major 1, they got 4th, and then got runners up. So if you take major 2 away,
that's probably like they're
like
like
a
third highest ever.
Third, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of actually crazy. I just never really thought about it because in my head, I guess Faze was the consistent rock for the most part. Everybody else was kind of all over the place, but they were there battling except for major 2. Interesting. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I think this offseason is going to be nuts. And
Bananas.
I think you kind of
yes.
I think you nailed the biggest thing though. It's like kind of had the Challengers God Squad just sitting there, so it's going to be. It's not like you even have to make crazy moves to make moves that could be good, right? It's not like you have these $500,000 transfer fees. So you're trying to get somebody off another team. Like they're just there brewing in the farm.
And the farm brewing, ready to go. Young bulls, lots of testosterone.
So that just adds just makes it more interesting, right?
Yeah.
Most teams don't have that.
All right. Over to the other 5th, 6th team, NYSL. They kind of get pummeled by Optic after Optic got smoked. I think there was probably some worrisome how they'd bounce back.
Do you remember that series? Because I fucking died.
Is that, yeah, I think that's when I was raging, right?
I would just look over at Joe and Joe like, so let's just talk about that real quick while we're talking about this series. So, I'm sorry, we got to like, listen, there are a lot of, I feel like the CDL gets a lot of flack for CWL, CDL. Whenever something goes wrong, people blame the league. It's just always been how it is.
Well, the first delay was the servers.
I get tweeted a million times, but in general, Joe, I think you'd agree 99.9% of the time it's like a server game thing. It has nothing to do with the league 99.9% of the time. The server thing when nothing we can do. Servers are out everywhere. This was a weird one because we've had stuff like this happen where there's an audio issue, controller issue, PC issue. They literally have full setups backstage to just swap everything. So I think I tweeted like they're swapping out Crim's equipment. We should be back shortly. Shortly was a very poor choice of words because it like an hour and a half after my tweet, we came back. I still never got like a complete.
I think they just rebuilt it. I think they took everyone's out and put it back in. So I think what they did is they took out Crim stuff, put in new stuff. They tested it, right? Because that takes time. Then they have to test it. They go in a game. They were probably playing, testing audio. And it was still there. then it's like, well, now what do we do?
Yeah, that's why it
So I
took
think
so long. It's like,
I think they ripped it
okay.
all out, ripped it all back, put it all back. They basically had to rebuild the stage. It sucked. I mean, the only reason this probably isn't a bigger conversation is because Optic just fried in the game number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, props to them with the composure to deal with that. But honestly, everyone just kind of got cooked by New York.
Well,
They
to be
finished fifth, six. Go ahead.
So what I was gonna say, to be fair, like when we were standing up there and I was looking down the stage, 'cause I was staring to see when people are gonna like, get back in seats, right? They were doing all this work on the NYSL side to fix this for them. So they were mostly not sitting there. Like the Optic guys were just there, dialed in almost the entire time, shooting bots, doing whatever, but they just sat there. So I guess I shouldn't be shocked that they came in still beaming. And on the other side, it's like you're rushing to try and get back into it. Granted, I think they took like 5 to 10 minutes to like test stuff, and then everyone got to shoot around a little bit. But Optic were locked, bro. They just sat there the whole time and played games.
Yeah, they were. And I think the story for New York for me is, I mean, this was a team that, I mean, they were ahead. They looked ahead like when we saw them at like the pro am, and I think when they were at like their height, maybe at Major 4, they looked ahead in respawns. It looked like they had a better general understanding of the game. Kind of didn't get that feeling these couple of matches. Just not everyone besides Hydra. You didn't even have like your Kismet, right? Who you were really
Well,
putting out there as
what
like
did
was
he
like
tweet?
super consistent. Like nobody played that well.
What did Kiz tweet? He tweeted something where I was like, yeah, sounds like Vanguard.
Yeah, they were like 4 and 6 in hardpoint and search, and then 1 and 2 in control. Oh, just not a great event for New York. What do you say, Maeve? Sorry, Kismet.
Oh, this was I guess the day before when they lost, but he said like, so unbelievably upset with myself. Go from the best player in the game, it feels, in every setup, then go to the main stage and everything just feels off. I just
Hmm.
feel bad to let the team down, blah, 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 blah. But I just got the feeling it's one of those things where, yeah, you're sitting backstage, screaming, feeling good, and they just got the main stage and like, I think like Nasty replied because he had an off series. He's like, dude, I felt the same way. That chair's cursed. If you're a mine, like I just felt locked, and then I just couldn't. I just felt out of place. I don't know what it was exactly, but I just saw that tweet and I was like, he was going through it.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I think for New York, obviously all these guys, I mean, they probably thought they were a top 3 team at this event. Had a good shot. I mean, they just made a major final a couple of weeks prior, but just didn't go their way. I mean, still top 6. I think from a storylines perspective, an outside perspective, it's hey, you got the champs, you got top 6. From an internal standpoint, Crim on the team, we could have done a hell of a lot better. And Crim tweeted that. He was like, I just feel as I let them down. I did not play well.
Great interview though.
Great interview. The what was it?
It was the diarrhea butthole of America, I think is what he called Los Angeles, with 54% taxes. And they said a lot of other shit. I don't remember it verbatim, but I probably should just memorize it and recite it at times. But no,
I
it was
think what he was meant to say was like swamp ass because it was really hot in there. And instead of saying swamp ass, he somehow got to diarrhea butthole. Which I mean, nobody likes dealing with swamp ass. It's not a good time.
the worst. I
Get a
need a
little sweat down there. It's a little itchy. You're just like, oh, this is horrible.
I need a portable bidet, dude. That I fit in my pocket, and then it expands and grows, and my butthole gets a shower.
Yeah, I think the US could just use more bidets. Is really what you're looking at.
I always hear Tokyo's like so clean and awesome. You think they just have bidets everywhere, dude?
Oh, no doubt about it.
I want to go to Tokyo.
Yeah,
Imagine you public restroom, just butthole shower.
I think they do. I'm pretty sure they do. Like hotel rooms have like the crazy ones.
I'm pissed. Let's go live in Tokyo, dude.
Yeah. All right. So New York, they get top 6 alongside Ultra. Moving on, we had a pretty good matchup. Optic versus Surge. Optic, they finish 4th. And I think the story for Optic was similar to New York. Throughout the hard point or throughout the weekend, hard points 2 and 4, 1 and 3 in control. This roster just never got back to what we saw in Major 1. I know they dealt with a lot. and there was a lot to deal with. They were still 4-1 in search and destroy, which they showed great search all year, but it never translated back to the early Optic at the first major where their control on Tuscan was unreal. They were winning Tuscan hard points. And due to that, their map pool got weak.
Yeah, I wasn't smoking whatever you were. I didn't have them in a final. I
I
I
just
didn't
thought they were
think
going to get hot.
I didn't think there was any chance they were doing better than Thieves or Faze. I thought honestly, I thought a top three, top four is pretty solid finish considering the year they've gone through and where I didn't have higher expectations than that. They basically lost the two teams that I thought were the favorites, and then a Seattle that got hot. I, I mean, I know if you are Optic, you're not pleased. If you're
Bro, that
fans, you're not
lineup too.
pleased.
Let's talk about that Surge matchup, man. I mean, a couple of things. You had the lineup, and then kind of what I talked about with the Berlin Hardpoint. They're up like 70, 80 points.
So I talked to the observers about the lineup, and because we were watching it back in the green room, because he threw like a dead nade, so I didn't think the nade exploded. I was kind of curious how he like shot two bullets and it ended, but I think Scump never healed from the one-on-one with Pred, and then we didn't see it, but Sib before he died got shots into Dashy. So like Dashy was weak too, but I think a little more health than Scump. So I think it was one bullet Scump, two bullet Dashy, done. So that's why it was just like three bullets, done.
You want to know what really? I know it's tough in that moment, but like a lot when I watch like, because I walk around during matches when I'm not casting, just like listening to dugouts and coaches and stuff. One thing Cap with the Thieves was huge on was stun nades. Like I don't want you to die with nades in your hand. That'll piss me off. He's got. I think Seth has both of them at the end, and it's like tough because in a 1-on-1, you don't want to get caught tossing one. But I'm just thinking if he somehow just like throws a stun up there, it's probably over.
It, it is tough because that's like
I
how
mean,
many.
there's like so many options that
Yes.
could have. There's so many things they could have probably done.
How many times just playing Warzone or playing multiplayer where it's like that you get somebody so weak, you're like, oh, nade. But their only play really is to ego chow you, and you just get fried, and you're like,
yeah. But even if the
should've seen that
stun
coming.
hits, Dashy probably pushes it, and
yeah,
he can't heal yet. That's the only thing. He can't heal due to the stun. And it takes long. It takes long to get your health back in that game, which is why Dashy died. But I mean, who knows what happens? I don't know if they would have carried the momentum into game 4. But even in game 4, I mean, you're up like 90. You have the streak on Illy, and he calls it in at, I think it's P3. And I was like, huh?
well, that's the hard point. They're just like famously bad at. You talking Berlin?
Yes.
Yeah, that they're just horrible at that. I don't know if they just drink right before it rotates there every time or what the case is, but they just feel like never really told that. I mean, same.
Well,
for,
yeah,
oh, wait,
they
am I
were
thinking
going
of
for the
Faze?
dagger.
Am I confused right now? Or is that
No,
that's
no,
what
no,
Optic
no.
right? Yeah.
I mean, that was like, but yes, that to your point, like they were going for the throw. Like they're probably comms were let's use it here, get a pick on the guy in the back, and then maybe we win. But it didn't happen. And then I mean, you don't have anything to use P4, P5. Like they weren't playing like very scrappy towards the end, and then they lose that P1 rotation, and we saw that all the time. And then again, like the map pool thing, like you could just see it unraveling. You could see it unraveling where like this is a map we play a lot. We don't have a lot of sort of match experience. When what do we got to do here? And I don't know if the comms were really happening like that.
Can I go on a quick Maven tangent?
Mm-hmm.
I know you'd prefer score streaks to kill streaks, obviously, but I just miss whether it's like superpowers or a good streak. Like, I just miss when like somebody popping off meant like you have your moment. You're gonna change the game. And this year, just glides were just whatever, man. Like you got one, maybe. I don't know. Hope going forward we at least have like your basic 2 streaks that are solid.
Yeah, I would hope so, Maeve.
Yeah, I
But
know
you never know.
I know there's issues with competitive side and stuff. But I just want big plays and crazy moments. I just feel like Glide rarely led to shit.
Well, I think what you're saying is there were just no streaks to use. That was the issue. There weren't any other streaks.
Yeah, okay. I just want a game that has streaks that can be used. Okay. What I
Yeah,
want.
because the strafing run killed your teammates, and it was what, a 5 streak. And then I think the only option after a glide was like an artillery bombardment, which went off for like a minute.
Yeah, Tash would run right through that, dude. Win the game.
So I don't even know.
No,
Yeah.
I hear you. I just am thinking
Well,
about
the
like
problem is now we're going into a game. I doubt we're going to score streaks. I don't. Maybe we'll have the option, but I mean,
yeah.
MW was like, yeah, we're going back to kill streaks.
It's like, don't get me wrong, it's cool to see. I'm down for just kind of old fashioned COD. I mean, or like more
I'm
vanilla,
in. I'm all for
whatever,
it.
like
I
breaking and
agree.
stuff.
There
But
should be another one. There should be a hellstorm and a lightning strike.
it's just that it's like, as a commentator, it's just like, it's a story. The person plays, they make the plays, they get those streaks, and then like you're like, when's it coming? Like when are they changing the shape of this game? And it's just not really a thing. I don't like that.
I mean, the glide bomb was still effective. He just decided to use it at P3
No,
where it
no.
was ineffective.
No, yeah. To your point, yes. But you know what I mean. It's just like it didn't feel like it usually changed the game that much. Sometimes though.
No, I think it was very important in a lot of like smaller moments, but yet not to
Yeah.
the level of lightning strike or a hellstorm literally killing multiple people and
Yeah.
everyone yelling nuts. 100%.
Yeah.
So I mean, another surprising thing, I mean, they lost all the respawns to LA Thieves in Seattle, and Shotzzy just he has I think a 0.65 in hardpoint over the week. Um I mean, this was for a little bit MVP candidate. I don't know. It just felt like he never got back to that.
It- yeah, I mean
Like
that's
there were moments I think in search,
you
but
played
he
the best hardpoint
different.
team in Seattle at the event. You played Thieves, the best respawn team. I'm not saying it excuses the 0.65 because you have the roster and Optic. You should be able to battle those teams, but to be fair, you played. There was 2 of the top 3 teams, and they were on it and respawn. So I guess I'm not surprised to see that, considering how it went for Seattle and Thieves actually just drop kicked them in the fucking teeth.
All right, let me get rid of the Thieves match because you have the ability to do that, right? I'll exclude that.
Okay,
Even if you take that out versus Toronto, New York, and Seattle, that's including 2 wins. You have a 0.69.
so it didn't really change. Yeah. Well, I guess it's a 1 map difference. You're talking hardpoint, but yeah, I guess I was more thinking about the fact. You're right, that 1-2 match. I was thinking about Seattle and Thieves. I'm like, yeah, those are 2 tough matches in respawn, but no, I mean, it doesn't excuse a player his caliber to 0.65.
Well, it's just, I mean, this team had to get better in respawns like that. Like with the prep leading up to champs was all about respawns, right? Like, they knew they were going to be great in search. They have been. They were this weekend. They were clutching up. They win game 5s. Their 1 match for Seattle or 1 map they win is search. I don't know. It's just,
Here's the Twilight Zone, bro. Faze not good at search. Optic not good at respawns. We were in the fucking Twilight Zone this year.
like, was it a Twilight Zone or was it just the Optic we know always happens, which is really good early on? I guess for me, okay, maybe we'll never know truly the impact of the injury and how it affected their entire year.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, adding Illy, Shotzzy, and Rambo to lead up to this, I guess I was just expecting, even if they get 4th, I was expecting better respawn.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess I don't think the finish as a whole looks that bad to me, but when you say that, yeah. Especially just, dude, the Thieves series was just, that is one of the biggest ass whoopings I've ever seen between like 2 top teams at a champs. I am sure someone could tweet me something comparable, but that was not competitive. And you would think just with that lineup, like at the bare minimum, you're competitive. You might lose a 3-0 series. Not going to win everything, but you think you'd be competitive. Not just bend over and get spanked.
Well, that's that too. I mean, that's just sort of the they don't play touchscreen control. They had to play Yavutu versus Thieves, right? I mean, they don't have the option. They weren't playing Berlin. That's just another one. Like
Yeah. Oh.
that Berlin map pool. I don't know. It just really hurt them throughout the year. But Optic get fourth. Definitely not the finish they were looking for. Moving on to a Surge who finished top three. I mean, this team was a part of the craziest game, maybe craziest match you and I have ever casted in winners round 2 versus Faze. They lose in a game 5. Was that around 11? It was, right? Yeah, it was around 11. They were 9-1 in hardpoint, but they were 2-4 in search and 2-5 in search and 1-4 in control. They had some issues, they had some problems. But they were insane in hardpoint. They were fun to watch. Every match with them was exciting.
I don't know if it's because I was like so hot day one or like us being part time this year or what it was, but like when I first got to like champs, like I don't know, day one I was just like didn't really feel like I was at champs yet. I don't explain it. Like I had fun commentating and stuff, just didn't really feel like I was at champs yet. And then that one like took me back to I tweeted the video not that long ago, but, like the Slack Slam, like that day at Black Ops 4 champs, like that match took me back to just like that was a treat. I don't know how many times I looked over, like Ethan, our producer, texted me after. He's like, "You're having fun, huh?" Because I think I 20 times to Joe when we were at break, I was like, "I'm having so much fun, dude. I'm having so." I was having a blast. Like I love. Listen, I know Joe and I are good commentators. Not to like be a douchebag. Like we're good at what we do, but when it's like good gameplay like that, it makes our jobs so easy and so fun. If I could just cast that shit all the time, oh my god,
Yeah, if you could just guarantee that all the time, yeah, that'd be great. Appreciate it.
It was just like you don't. Sometimes when I cast, especially like when we cast the online league, like I'd have to drink like, a bunch of caffeine and stuff just to be able to handle it because casting online, God sucks. That like I don't care if I had just woken up from a nap 2 minutes earlier, like I was going to be twisted by the end of that map one. Like, dude, it was just so good. It was so good.
It was, yeah.
I'm trying to think. There was one series I think Jack and I casted. It was not at a champs, but I think LG was in it. And there was a 250, 249, like a 250, 247. Something like two hard points like that in one series. I can't remember. One was London Docks, the 250, 249. I can't remember the exact series, but like that. There are very few that I've casted where it's like both hard points are just like that, man. Like where I'm just like, I'm gonna lose my voice this weekend. It's just screaming. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they go on a bit of a run. I thought this was going to be someone else to do this. Again, I wasn't quite sure just after the last major that we saw Seattle Surge, but they looked in fine form. Mac, when he was playing at his best, that's when this team was different. I think you saw that as good as Pred was in those clutch moments. Him and Sib, like Mac was the difference maker for them. And being that difference maker, I'll just put it out there in search where they were 2-5, he had a 0.56. Control when they were 1-4 is a 0.65. Like, and I know they lose to Face twice, but you can't rely on one game mode.
No, 100%. But like, we're gassing Pred so much for the clutch moments, but like Mac was that guy too in the clutch.
Yep.
Like, and that is all, we were watching Pred's POV and like hyping Pred because that's kind of what we were seeing, and he was getting big kills. But like in the Tuscan clutch, Mac was just as important. Whether it was a P5 or P1, he had multi kills. If you look back to the Berlin control in the series, was this verse Optic, which he went like a 12-1 over a stretch to like clutch for them.
That was versus Optic. Yeah, that was versus Optic.
So like
yeah.
Mac had a lot of like clutch moments too. Pred just got a lot more gas because Pred was just, he had his off map from time to time, but for the most part, he was just consistent. He's a monster. Mac might just be one of those players, man. That's just what he is. I don't know what it is or why that exists, but it has existed in every major sport. Well, I think, okay, let's think of like major sports like streaky's a thing. Like, I don't know, baseball with hitting, it's really streaky, obviously. Basketball shooting, like people are streaky. It just feels like that's just him. He's hot, he's cold.
No, 100%. But I think you can see the difference. In the other player I want to talk about just a little bit is accuracy, because I think the first match versus Face, he gets fried. Like, he gets destroyed, and everyone's like, it's your fault. You lost. Yeah, he went -28. He had a 0.67. After that, he really turned it around. Now, I'm sure he could have played better, done a lot better, but I think people were sitting there like worried that was kind of the level he was playing at. But even the second series versus Faze, he played much better. So props to him. Yeah, like he had a 1 in their 3-1 loss. Where that's where Mac did like kind of get fried. It just felt like there was always one player, like similar to where Faze, they always had one in like the final, just get absolutely kind of fried. Surge when in their losses, one player just kind of got torched.
Well, accuracy. Listen, I was so happy he found this team because I think he's got an incredible mind for the game. He has his clutches. He's just someone, I don't know. He's a vet. I just like to see him succeed. But there were times he was exposed this year. I remember back to like a I think it was a Tuscan Control, and I gave him a little trash talk in an interview. I probably shouldn't have, but like he was like 11 and 35 or something. Dashy has had his way with him. Like it's just the fact is he is a good player, but sometimes when it is like he's in constant one on ones with a Dashy or a Cell or someone like that, I just don't know that he's at the stage of the career to win that consistently. But to be fair, not many people are. But sometimes
Yeah.
he would get exposed a little bit. But I think to your point, yeah, kind of like our season phase we'll talk about. Like there were times where those players need to step it up, and they really did.
Yeah, 100%. Faze finished third. Quite a roller coaster every year. Obviously, the major 3 win kind of puts a stamp on it. I think a top 3 of champs shows you the potential of Preda and Sib just in what those two can do. Will be an interesting roster in the offseason to watch because I think there's a lot of ways it could probably go. I could see like Pred and Sib finding, I don't know their contracts. I'm just speaking as if maybe they are free. They're definitely going to be hot prospects for maybe teams trying to who are close to a title that could add them.
Yeah.
Or I could see Seattle being very much a place where people want to go because those two are there.
Listen, they think about what Seattle Surge was when it started the league. It was
Mhm.
a org that clearly came in with a very cool brand. They threw money around to build that team with App and Damon and all that, and they've kind of been a meme for the most part. I think for the CDL, like we were lucky if they were winning a map sometimes. Like it sort of became this big meme of disappointment and being overhyped and whatnot. And this year they put them on the map. And that's the way I see it. Like you got these rookies, you got this team. It sort of like made Seattle Surge like not a laughing stock.
100%.
Yeah, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So great year for them. See how it goes. Then we get to the final. The final. LA Thieves versus FaZe. We'll just touch on FaZe first.
What was
I
their
mean, they're
hard
only
point win
two.
rate over the year? You have that in front of you?
I can pull it
Could
up
you?
quick. Yeah. Team stats,
But
Vanguard.
I know Surge
Over the
was
year.
ass, but weren't their respawns both around like 65, 70%? Try to guess.
So they were 43 and 28 without champs. You include champs, they were 3 and 7.
So
So they were like 46 and 35 on the year.
43 and 28. So what's 43 divided by 71? That's like what? It's around a 60% win rate, unless I don't understand how math works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so usually, yeah, 60, 70%, somewhere in there, you're good. I was very surprised to see a 3 and 7. That's what I was gonna get to. Like that.
Got
Listen,
champs.
they've thrown away some hard points. They are a dumb team sometimes, or they're very frustrating to watch with the talent they have when it comes to hard point. Like, they just do some stuff, and I'm like, I was talking to Chris at one point. He's like, they started strong side Berlin on something. And he's like, we're like undefeated in scrim starting strong side, but they just didn't do the break off that we practice every day. It's like, imagine the caliber of this team, those 4 players, and they just did a different break off. It's just funny to think about. But I don't know what was going on hardpoint, but that surprised me.
Yeah, I mean 3 and 7 and 1 and 3 versus LA Thieves. So if you take Thieves out of it, they're still 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Some of those were against Seattle, who I'm sure. I mean,
Seattle. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 4 of their series. It's just like one of those things where I don't know if it's 50%. Maybe this is a different discussion. They did show a little bit of a better search and destroy. They were 5 and 4 over the tournament there, 4 and 2 in control. I think you saw Cell have some ridiculous stats. But I will say, what series was it when he has like a 1 point? Is that versus Thieves in the winners final? Okay,
I'm not educated enough
listen.
to talk about this topic, but I don't know.
Okay, dude, how in the hell? Okay, as a player, I like. We've sort of alluded to this. Okay, this is the hardpoint versus Thieves. They played twice. This guy has a 1.72 in hardpoint. Sim's got a 0.67. RCS has a 0.8. And Abizi has a 0.93. And he's got a 1.7. And like, obviously, you can't be mad at the man for that. You got like, what are you supposed to say to the guy? But I'm just wondering as a player, I've always been a system guy. I think you could see that with like Cap. He's the same way. I think something's wrong here. I don't want to say he's Killhorn. He's playing his spots obviously very well. He's probably winning his ones. But I just think at a whole, their system was probably not where it needed to be if someone's got a 1.7 and everyone else is negative.
It's one of two things to me. Either, I mean, he was the MVP. Either Cell is God, and like, even when people are in the blender, you know, he's holding his spots, getting to a power spot, waiting for them to come back, and never getting staggered and playing smart.
Let me say, that's also not easy to do. Like, when your team's getting shit on, it's not like always easy to like find success.
Or every now and then there's some Killhorn going on.
Like playing his life a little too hard type thing.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's like him necessarily trying to kill her, or it goes back to his whole thing that's like, I don't want to die. No free kills has been his motto all year. No free kills. Like no one, I don't care if it's scrim, no free kills. Like he is gonna fight every gunfight like it's his last type attitude is what he's had. So it just might just be that. Listen, I'm just not a COD mastermind. Someone that is much smarter than I would have to go through and watch him on the minimap every single game and see if there's. I mean,
it's really only hard point. Everywhere else like was kind of fine, and everyone was pretty even. And I mean, they had a lot of close hard points. It's not like they were getting shit on in hard points. It was just
one of those things where it's like, how does he have that? Like, dude, we're watching. There was a game where they were down like 100 in hard point. I'm like, how is Cell 21-8?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Cell.
No. Me neither. Like, that's the point, though. It's like, what are you supposed to tell the guy? He's got a 1.5. You know what I mean?
But I guess we're just wondering, were there spots where he could have maybe been a little bit more aggressive to help them? I don't know the answer to that. I'm thinking probably, but it's just not a normal thing. It's not to be getting smoked like that, and then someone's almost got a 2. It's just not a thing.
I will say Arcedy's, I think, like really outside of the final, played. This was a much better tournament from him. Like just throughout the entire thing, outside of the final, like he was great in some of those respawns. You saw a Beezy, but there was one player, and I didn't really think I was ever going to say this, but I mean, Sim statistically was not great. Especially if you focus in on the final. Well, pretty much got torched.
That's sort of been.
It's like what?
So when we were first watching, let's go back to the day one, basically this game. We were first watching scrims with Chris, and he was just sort of saying like, Cell's kind of the guy right now. Like Cell is frying. And he was kind of saying to us watching the scrim, he's like, Simp needs to be more of a route guy. He is filling gaps. He's not really taking over like the God role right now. It's kind of what Chris said to us at the beginning of the title. I was like, okay, but like he's Simp, like he'll still fry. But you'll watch the map sometimes, and he is making the right plays. He's a very smart player, but it wasn't a good year for him. I mean, statistically, it just wasn't.
I mean, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Like, someone put
for his standards.
Not Simp.
Oh.
I'm just saying, like someone. I'm pretty sure someone put out stats that like it might have been breaking point, like before MVPs got announced. He was still like a top 3 sub or something stats wise, or top 4 sub.
Yeah. Okay. Then maybe this is just coming from me.
I'm just saying it wasn't like this Simp we know, but I think stats wise, if you really hone in on it, he was still like right there.
It's just the guy that walked into his first CWL London, dropped the 1.25, was the MVP, and hasn't looked back. I guess if you're just used to him being the best player on the map at most times, like that wasn't this year.
So then I guess we kind of go to the question, right? Like, obviously, it's going to be different next year. This team's going to stick. It just will.
It better,
Um,
or someone's dumb as
no,
shit.
no, it will. Maybe they try to build a system again around sort of him. Maybe just the game will, right?
Yeah, it's just like it just felt like where it was always about the tiny tears, tiny tears, tiny tears. What Simp and Easy were doing.
And
There
that
were
could just be
moments
like
like that this
Vanguard.
year. It was the Cell show a lot,
Yeah.
and maybe that's just because of the title. Maybe that's some dynamic they need to figure out. And
Mhm.
maybe this goes back to what we were saying with Salome. Maybe the way he's playing sometimes is, I don't know, leaving Simp out to dry. I don't know, but it's just I do think I've said this before. I'm sticking with it even after this year. I think Simp is the most talented player I've ever watched. When you combine like gun skill and just his brain on the map, I think he is a god.
Yeah.
And
And maybe that's like he's like so like he wants to put his team in a position to win.
he was doing
And
more
he
dirty work than
knows
normal, 1,000%.
right. He's just sort of like, all right, I'll do this. I'll be the one to take this route.
Yeah.
I'll take this long route. I mean, a lot of the times when we watched him, he was that guy having to do that.
Well, that's why we
Maybe
asked
that's just
Chris
not
in the one scrim we watched. Like I was literally watching him just hike around the map by himself, trying to find holes and flip spawns. I'm like, I didn't want he didn't
like,
take
you're
a
like, what the
gunfight.
fuck are we watching?
Yeah, he didn't take a gunfight for 45 seconds. I was just watching him manipulate spawns. I'm like, well, it's fucking Simp. What's he doing right now? Just go shoot people. But like, it's
You want to
just,
know what's actually interesting? I noticed this throughout the week. We talked about the third auto. A lot of the times, the person to pull out a third auto for Faze was Abizi, which is why his stats were a lot better. A lot of the times, it was him. He was running the third auto.
yeah, that's.
On the Berlins, it was him.
I mean, this is the most call the auto what you want. It's an AR, but it's like a do it all at times. But this is the most AR heavy COD that I've ever casted. Like if you talk through till the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I how many maps did we have where it was typical one AR 3 subs running around? Like a lot of maps. Like
Crazy.
it's a weird year. It is, and that's probably a big part of it, man. It's just a very AR heavy, weird ass game.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit of a slow start for them in the final. Right, they go down 0-4. I think the tipping point for me was probably that Tuscan hardpoint. I think Thieves, I'm going to give them props. I thought they played the final and where they put maps really well. Putting two Gavutus early, and here's why. If you start off on like a Tuscan or a Berlin, you have a lot of engagements, a lot of gunfights. Maybe you just get hot if you're Faze, right? Like you're just piecing people up. Gavutu is a much slower sort of routes, kind of our system versus your system. And they came out on top early. Like, because what I'm saying is if they win like, I don't know, a couple of early maps, then you go to a Gavutu hardpoint, like map 4, phases maybe up to 1. Maybe there's a better shot for them to win that because they're warmed up and they're just kind of they're in that sort of flow state.
Well, that's the advantage, at least to my understanding of coming from winners. You really dictate the beginning of the series. At least is how it was broken down to me. Maybe you have choices there, but really you determine how it starts. That's why even when they were like, when Faze was down like 0-3, I was still like, it's possible. I think it was when I hit 0-4 that I was like, all right.
Well, the
But
Tuscan
even,
hardpoint was kind of like your kind of the start of some of your better maps.
yeah, that's where it like started to look better for Faze 100%. But
Yep.
I mean, dude, they have if it's not like it's just little things, man. Like if Abizi didn't get that auto mantle in control, give it to who knows? I mean, maybe he still would have died. Maybe he could have finessed till they got there. I don't know. He wasn't in a good spot, but I don't know if he dies there.
The
Then
gap control. Yeah, round
yeah,
5.
he just like mantled up, and maybe it changed nothing, but it looked dumb as shit from the POV I was
Well,
watching.
he just
Like,
auto-mantled.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
it's an
auto mantled
auto-mantle.
and got smoked. And then there's the round where he like jumps outside the map. I think on Tuscan. Um, that round they might win that search. Thieves was the better team 100%, but there were a couple little moments where that could have gone 9 or something, man. Like that really had potential to be like an all-time series.
Hmm.
I just hate auto mantles. Like that one really just
I mean,
second I saw I was like,
started to get hot.
he fucking auto mantled. That's all I can say. I was like, he fucking auto mantled.
Yeah, it started to get hot. I mean, they won Berlin Control, which is a huge surprise, right? Just we talked about Berlin for Thieves. I mean,
That was
and winning that
back-to-back
round
offense,
5.
right? 4 or 5.
Yeah,
They do offense.
Octane kind of right. You could see the end of Gav Control. I said this to Mason. I didn't say this to Nade. The end of Gav Control, I was like, Abizi and Simp are starting to play really well. I was like, this is going to turn into a series. And I thought they were going to take over and win the Tuscan Hardpoint. When they lost that, I was like, all right, this is over. Like I just knew it was kind of done. Abizi still played exceptional. They won the Bocage, they won Berlin, but yeah, I mean for Faze another second.
I gotta tell people watching this real quick.
Oh,
I thought it was funny. So Joe watches, all of it with Nade, and Joe becomes Nade's like lucky charm. Like Nade wouldn't let him move. Joe was like his rabbit's foot, right? I wanted a series. Listen, Nade's my boy. We've been friends for a long time. I don't give a fuck. I wanted a good series. Mm-hmm. So I saw Nade in the hallway, and it was 0-4. I go, Nade, man, it would fucking suck to lose 5 straight, right? The look he gave me. Dude,
he was like, why the fuck would you say that?
He was pissed. He was pissed. And like looking back, he's my friend. Maybe shouldn't have done it. But like in my head, I'm like, I just want a good series. I don't care what it takes. But no, I was messing with him, and dude, he was not playing around. I'm surprised he didn't spear me, honestly. That look was like
the look
scary.
He gave me. Well, because like I was like, I said this on stream. I was just like, I wanted to hang out with Mason and Jack and Matt. And I was like, all right, Matt, like where you want to go sit? You want to sit with the guys or with them? And Jack's family was in town. And he's like, no, I want to sit like literally pointing like 3rd row. I was like, okay. And I figured like maybe a map or two, and then he would just get annoyed or whatever. But he's like, no, nobody's fucking moving. I was like, all right, nobody's moving. So
let's talk about that now. I mean, Thieves winning. I mean, there's so many things about this that are awesome. Whether it's, you heard Matt's speech on stage, just how much it meant to him. If you guys don't know Matt like we do,
mm-hmm.
Matt, when it comes to like the team and like his emotions, and he's a psychopath. He just, dude, he's an emotional guy. And it has been up and down with his team. He just wants to win. He cares so much. He just cares so. It's like a dad watching their like kid play or something. My dad always said it was harder to watch me play than it was for him to play college basketball. Harder for him to watch me. Like he went through it. It's just, dude.
I think too. I think for like him and Hector, they do everything else really, really well. Right, like content and the creators that they own, the content they make.
What do you order, dude?
The one thing that like for a while that I don't know, like when people talk shit to him as, oh, this team's trash or this team's trash. Like when he wins, like he lets the whole world know, because when they don't win, they hear it the most all the time. So like, I just think that's a huge part of it was like they were critiqued from the start. Well, I mean, this roster, and we saw last year. I mean, everyone was just joking about, oh, who's JK going to drop this time?
Dude, people have the like shortest term memory. Like I was arguing with someone because I still think when you talk regular season, not champs, the best team for me was Faze. There's no argument. They literally just got top 2, highest average placement, most points in the CDL. I don't care if they didn't win one. There were 4 different winners. No one was consistent. I had people like, oh well, Thieves, they what's second at the kickoff, and they or whatever they got. They win the kick. No, what they get at the kickoff? Third, second? Second, I think. Anyway, they did that at the kickoff, and they won the last major. I'm like, are we ignoring the rest of the year where everyone was calling for a team change and to like blow this team up? This was like, it looks real good now that they won Major 4 in champs. Sure, it looks fucking great. But if you go back a couple months, they were going through it. And like, I just feel like people don't realize like it wasn't good. Like they were stressed, and they were things were clicking, and Kenny was switching, and
top 6 Major 1, top 8 Major 2, and then they got 4th Major 3. They started to look a little better.
What was the kickoff though? Was it second or third or something? Is that in there?
Kickoff they got 3rd, 4th. Yeah, they lost to Ultra, I think, in the semis.
Okay, so yeah, it wasn't a good year until the last couple weeks to a month. So I'm just happy for him because I know with Kenny switching roles, and we knew how good Kenny was. And I feel like Kenny just and Sam
that actually was that was the hardest thing. Just like seeing the outcry to drop Kenny, I was like, I thought these people are so silly, but I'm gonna just let them do their thing. I'm gonna let them do their thing. It is what it is. Like,
I don't think it was like Thieves fans as much as that was Optic fans, because Optic fans hate Kenny and Octane because they shit on him for years. Like they don't, like these are the players that love to play Optic and have bodied them in the past. I just feel like there's probably some animosity towards a player like Kenny, or I feel like it always, anytime like Kenny is down, it just feels like there's this large percentage just want to drop kick him while he's down. And I guess for us, it's just a fan of how talented he is. We're just like, he's gonna figure it out eventually, and he sure as hell did, man.
Well, it's also just how smart he is, and I think that's really underappreciated of Ken. He's he knows how to win. Like we saw it his first year.
Oh, he's a Jedi.
Yeah, and I think like obviously with Cold War, he wasn't. I mean, they weren't great. He was still just kind of insane, even with an AR. But yeah, it took some time. He said it. It just took a little bit more time than they wanted to with him playing as a sub. He had to catch up. He obviously gets back-to-back MVPs, and I think the MVP, I don't know. You probably could have picked anyone at Champs. It really doesn't matter, like the way they played. I think if you look at like the final, I think Envoy had incredible clutch moments. I think Octane was unbelievable throughout the week, but Ken was just so important. Like he was, versus Breach, he had 14 in their game fives. Like he had some unreal plays.
The YY thing is always like annoyed me a little bit because we've seen him get caught. But I won't forget it was Berlin Search, I think, and he was at what's the outer site? A?
B.
B. God, I don't know why I was mixed that. B. He was like the water side one. And in my head right now, I can't picture it. But anyway.
What map?
Berlin.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he like hops out, YY's like 6 times and spits on someone that shot first. I was like, oh, okay, do whatever you want. I was like, he like literally did like 6 YYs, just perfectly came out of it and fried somebody. And I was like, all right, whatever, man. Do your thing.
Yeah. But I think after round 1, the Optic, they just showed, we said it, like I saw it at Major 4. I was like, they just looked better. They looked better than everyone. They had an understanding of the game that I don't think anyone else did. And the fact is I talked so much about respawns, and these guys go 6-1 in search. That was it. I mean, if you're not beating that team in search, you're fucked. Everyone else got fucked. Honestly, that's the simplest way to put it. They weren't losing searches.
Yeah, they were probably the only. I'd have to look back at it, but from teams that won, they were probably like the most balanced across modes, I would think. Because I feel like I have to go look at it, but I feel like a lot of times throughout the year, teams were lacking specifically in one mode like really bad. That was just a good balanced effort. I mean, their worst is 3-2 in control, which is still that's good enough. That's one time, good enough to win a tournament. Lights out in the other two, like they were just real balanced.
Yeah,
and I'm excited for the future of this team. Like, good luck to everybody else. Like, if this roster sticks, which of course they will, and Faze stick, like. Whew.
Yeah, and that's the other, like this team, like, I mean, another tournament where almost all of them have over a 1 in every mode. Like, Octane had Octane moments as a main AR. Kenny would have sub, but the other two as well. Like Drazah just he loves COD. Like people don't know. Like the guy loves COD. The guy, like Eric has told me stories. Like Mud Dog, like he just loves playing the game so much. Like he knows everything. When he's not practicing, the guy's literally wagering with his girlfriend.
Do you want to talk about this stuff with him at the end of the match?
What? I mean, sure. I do want to give one more props to Envoy, just for all the clutches he had, but also just like, kind of what we saw, like transfer, like him and Kenny's teamwork seemed to be just unbelievable as subs.
Well, he just seemed to be more of a player within the system than a guy running off trying to make a play, which I think is what we saw a lot from him in years past. Like,
yeah, and we plan to have one of these guys on, hopefully, next episode. And that'll probably that's something I want to cover. Like, are we talking out of our ass? Was that true? Like, how are some of those bigger conversations? But
to me, I want to hear 100%. Whoever we have on, like, hear their opinion. But it didn't feel like they were doing anything special per se. They just were in their spots. Their comms were incredibly good. Their teamwork was just fantastic. And part of that probably, I mean, the reason they got through the tough times, and this probably got the comms in like chemistry to that point is probably some of it's just probably their relationships. We've talked about it before, dude. They're in the back, all four of them playing league together, and like they're just vibing. Like I think they all just really like each other. And not that it's not true of other teams, but I know when
Oh,
I go
there's
into
always
their
some
practice
stuff.
room
Yeah.
versus others, like they are just boys, it seems like. But I want to talk about the Drazah thing. So after they won, I think the first thing Drazah did was he basically stood up, flicked off the face side, and then
No.
afterwards he quote tweeted a tweet from January, I believe, towards Simp, and just said like thanks for the ring or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be wishy-washy here, but I'm going to say that I'm good with both sides of this in the sense of I love storylines and trash talk. I don't give a fuck how far it goes. I love it. Simp and him going at it is going to lead to me caring more about that matchup down the road, and that is why I am good with it. But Simp replied like, win with some class. At the same time, yes, I get that. They have been on top. Yes, they have shot bodies from time to time, but for the most part, they have shit on the entire Call of Duty planet for years.
Mhm.
And they've mostly just done it with class.
Chilled out.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are some moments where I'm full of shit, but like for the most part, they've been good. It's like I get from their side, they just lost. Apparently, RC's had kind of just a tough year in general. You're frustrated. You just lost the big one. It's been a year of second places. I'm sure that behavior was like, all right, dude. But yeah, not to just be lukewarm. I'm good with both sides of it. I'm whatever. I'm good with it.
I mean, honestly, Josh's been doing this. I mean, he kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, this is he's him. I mean, the fact is too, like when you're like this, you put a bigger X on your back. People are gonna want to beat the shit out of you. I mean, that's just it. Like in game, but like you know, but he gets it. But I think he's probably his biggest critic. Like, if you want to be this confident, just understand that it's gonna come consequences. Like that's it.
I want this to be the WWE. I've said that a million times over the years. Like, I think we have the best personalities and players on the planet compared to some other esports.
Mhm.
And there is a concern. I don't really worry about when Scump retires in the sense of like who's next up the bat. Like, there was a Jordan, then there was a Kobe, then there was a LeBron. Like, someone next comes. It just happens. But in the sense of like the personality that you have in somebody like Krem, there are with some of the young players, I think people that have been hesitant to come out of their shells, and maybe I don't know why that is exactly, but it kind of feels that way with like the next generation. I am all about someone being that big personality, loose cannon, saying whatever they want. Yes,
Mhm.
because I think we need more of it. And when the big names retire, when the Krem and Scump and are gone, like we're gonna need to fill that gap. At least I think so. That's what we're the best at. So Drazah, say whatever you
Well,
want.
I think
Say
we've had
whatever
a
you
good
want.
amount of it, honestly. The fact is, though, his face has won a lot more than everyone else, so that's just a part of it. Like FaZe has just been doing their thing, and we just haven't had a ton of land the last couple of years due to it started with COVID.
True, but I think there are some big personalities that are going to need to be replaced in the coming years, and I wouldn't mind a few more Drazahs, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, we have storyline going into next year.
Yeah.
Between these top dollars, there you can see a final placement graphic: $1.2 million for Thieves. FaZe able to walk away with 650K. Surge as well. There's the breakdown. And this actually changed some things. You and I found pretty crazy.
Oh,
Um,
Alec, yeah.
Alec is now supposed like then maybe so, maybe not, but with the graphic we saw, as Arceus is now the number one most earning COD player of all time. Pretty wild. You talk about all the success that Krim has. I'm sure if you like inflated this shit, it wouldn't look this close. But
No,
fact is my man started finding some success at the right time.
no, he really
Let me
did.
tell you.
And people forget that, like, yeah, it's fun. They're playing a video game. It's a career at the end of the day. You want to make money. Like, what did somebody ask me? Like, oh, overall of the year, do you think, how do you word it? Like, do you think Scump would rather be FaZe or Optic this year? FaZe! Like, yes, you won one event, but they won double the money and all those seconds, got to play to a Sunday, got to play in all those finals. Like, I think, listen, they might not admit it, but most players would want the FaZe here versus the Optic. Like, just winning one event and not being like doing much at the rest, or like just being competitive through it all and battling. Plus, you won all that money. Like, FaZe, the only one that made more was Thieves, I'm sure, but right behind that's gonna be FaZe in overall earnings. It might be split, but like I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
What a weird
you're
year,
not
dude.
wrong.
They try to catch JCap in seconds in 1 year.
Yeah, I'm looking at this like, what? This guy's won $1.2 million.
Joe's still on the. I was in Leeds playing for $750 and a Chipotle gift card.
You're not wrong. We don't even really talk about the money anymore, which I kind of like, right? Because these guys are salaried very well, but there is still a lot of money to this when they're winning events.
Well, I think with the whole franchise thing, going like the North American sports route, do you talk about the prize pool for the Super Bowl, the World Series, the NBA championship?
They have what? They have those?
Yeah, you win. Yeah, you win a ton of money for winning those.
Oh,
But like, dude, is it ever talked about? No, it's about the trophy, the prestige, the winning. And I think I don't know. I guess I'm kind of torn on that with the future of esports. Whether I kind of
also
want
tough too when you have like the international. It's like, here's our world championship, and they're like, here's $30 million.
that was going to be my next point. It's kind of weird because like crowdfunding and like that whole side of it and in game, like they're not 1-to-1, but it's like I guess I don't know what I would prefer. I guess I kind of like just sports in general, where it's like, yeah, they have these big contracts and stuff, but when it comes down to performance and stuff, it's about the trophy, right? It's about winning.
Yeah,
You ever really talk about the other side of it, but then again, you have TI. Yeah, it's like
international is insane.
It's 2030 and $7 billion for.
If you don't know of Dota 2, they have their big event every single year. Their world championship is called the International. They are the kings of crowdfunding. Just so you are aware, the 2021 International last year, their prize purse was $40 million, in which the team that won $18 million.
Yeah, so they have something called the compendium. Is it? Butcher that?
Compendium, yeah.
Compendium, whatever it is.
Yeah, something like that, which you buy in game, and people just buy it just to add to the prize pool. So
yeah, I don't know how much it costs. Let's say $25 or whatever, but you get some stuff with it, and it goes towards the prize pool, and it's like a thing every year that people are like tracking it over like when it comes out versus like how it's like a conversation I'll see all over Twitter, like how it's paced versus other years. And like every year I'm like, nah, it's not going up this year. Like, no way it's going up this year. And then I'm like, oh shit, it just smashed it in 2 weeks. Like it's crazy.
Well, it is crazy. Yeah, so we got that's pretty wild. Another topic from Champs kind of talked about crowd noise. I believe Adam Apicella brought he had some tweets around. I know that there was people worried about crowd mics. I know there was talks around booths once again. Booths are a no-go due to fire like safety issues in most cities and venues. Here was like the thing. There is sound dampening. Booth wall will prevent the sound from hitting full force. However, even with boost, you will still /feel the roar. Yes, I can say to that. That is true. He then goes on to say the goal would be to have a roofless, soundproof booth with speakers positioned over each player, pumping ambient white noise along the stage. Why roofless? Complicated, he says. Every state, city, and venue has different regulations about what is required for safety for enclosed spaces inside of a venue. Most will require you to install a sprinkler system and sirens / lights for emergency exits. This is not feasible for nomadic setups, aka we move this thing across cities. Nothing will be soundproof until there's like a home. And I'm gonna just say this before we like maybe dive a little bit deeper. I think for those at home, crowd mics are pumped. Like it is much louder, I think, on broadcast than probably what players hearing. Because I've watched some like broadcast stuff. It's loud. You can literally hear like one human speak because it picks up a lot.
I think I kind of brought Adam into this because I saw Clay reply somebody. I can't remember who the original tweet was, but it was about the old soundproof sound dampening boxes, and Clay replied, bullshit excuse. It's just a money thing. And I'm like, all right, Clay, you got too big of a following for this to get traction. That is horseshit. So I replied to Clay, and I was like, pretty sure it's just it's a fire hazard thing, and they're not actually soundproof. And I added Adam, and then Adam started getting a lot of tweets, and he tweeted that out. I think the roar is what people don't really get. Like, even if you don't hear, it's not like you're hearing specific words up there. You're not going to hear
just,
like,
and then thousands of people doing that.
it's just you can't like stop the roar. Even like the almost like a tremble, like a vibration of it. Like it's like a sound wave. Like you can feel it too. It's not. I
Mhm.
don't know how to word it perfectly, but like you can just feel it in the
Oh, it
venue.
vibrates the building. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no like perfect thing. I know Joe's thing has always kind of been like just something you gotta deal with, right? Like major
It's a
sports,
different
deal with that.
environment. It happens in every game, in every other esport. It happens in sports.
And
That's
that's why I think Temp tweeted what? He was just sort of like, why are we trying to ninja on land at champs or something like that? And I think in a perfect world, we all wish it wasn't a thing, but like I want a loud crowd more than I give a shit about that. To tell you
no,
that.
no,
But
no. Listen, like if people are just screaming, he's defusing. I
yeah,
should be
get
kicked
him
out,
out.
and
Get him
normally
out.
they
Yes.
are, and they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like
Excuse me.
you're never going to stop that sort of loudness from a crowd. And again, in other games, like I know Kerrigan for Faze in CS, he's like known for this. If the crowd is loud, he calls for a super cheesy strat. He'll just be like, "Well, 5-hit mid." Like he'll ask for crowd noise and then call a strat based off of it. It happens in every game in every esport. I'm not saying it's a good thing. Can there probably be some things done? I don't know. Maybe it's a circle that starts to diffuse. Maybe you can somehow cover it or get rid of that so people don't know how close that person is. The observing team obviously tries to get off that person. But like, let's not act like this isn't a
Well,
part of the game. It hasn't been.
yeah, I mean, for a long time, when you're thinking major esports, it really is only an issue for CS and us now Valorant. It's like a game mode thing. Or game mode. Yeah, I guess game mode would be the way to word it. Like if you are a league or a Dota where you're seeing everything, or like Baron's on a timer, or there's not really that. I don't even know how you would describe it. Like this mystery or this secret thing that can go down. I don't think that
There
exists in a lot.
is.
Like
Yeah,
think
it
of
does.
like
It
Halo or
doesn't league in
something.
Dota. It doesn't league in Dota.
Well,
It
I was
doesn't Halo when a player has camo. That's happened before. There's been a roar of a crowd and a player shot
okay.
at camo. It's happened in everything.
All right. I was thinking it was more
In
like
League
it's
and
more like
Dota,
a
it happens on ganks. When a jungler is about to enter a lane, the crowd gets louder. Like,
yeah.
what are we talking
I
about
guess
here?
that's true. I guess I was thinking more just like it's like not an issue in like respawn or certain modes so much. It's like very specific to this one thing, which exists for like us in CS. But no, I guess you're right. I never really thought about that with like League, like the crowd roaring for like a gank. Yeah,
It does happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay. I mean, you'd be more knowledgeable than I am on that. So, all right, never mind.
So
It's-
I mean, listen, like, I think there should be things I mean, try to stop it. Yeah, of course. But like, I just don't. I think it's players are just going to have to be prepared for it. It's a different environment. I mean, Christ, we used to play a game with different perks. Then you'd go to a LAN and you wouldn't use like dead silence and respawns because just couldn't sound whore as much. It's also an effect of it. We've had this effect for it's 9 years.
yeah. I don't. I guess I just don't really care that much. I mean,
Oh, like when players are
it is
blatantly
what
or
it is.
people are blatantly trying
Oh,
to help someone. I said, yeah, kick them out.
yes, when it's one person that's yelling specific stuff and trying to be heard, I don't even know if they can hear that voice. But when it's a whole crowd, like whatever, it is what it is. I mean,
Is what it is. We'll
yeah.
see if they can do anything on like the broadcast side. Like I said, maybe you stop that circle from showing. I don't really know. We'll see what production and maybe observers try to create for it
But
to
would you
get
even
better.
want that? Would you want to like ruin the spectator experience for that? Would you prefer that? Just out of curiosity, like ruining the hype of that moment for spectators versus the competitive integrity, I guess, of the sound. What would you choose? I might be going viewers. It's tough. It's
Yeah,
like
it depends how it's done. Well, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the simple thing, if thinking about this right now, the simple thing would probably be to do it like Val and CS, where you're the one because we have a silent diffuse. So the easiest thing would probably be to go back to an unsilent diffuse. It would have to go to a sound, which you have the pickup sound. There just needs to be a pickup sound. That's probably the easiest. So then you can
Was
fake it.
wasn't that a thing you heard it this year and then they got it changed?
We normally play with silent diffuses. It
Hmm.
hasn't always been, but that is probably your easiest solution.
Yeah.
But like it takes away from those like 1VX ninja diffuses, right? Because there's obviously a noise.
It's like, how many of those do you have a year?
Correct. No, I mean there could be a ton of other outplays. There is in CS and Valorant, right? Where you're faking the bomb, you're faking those noises. It's just it's different.
That's a good point. I really think of that.
Uh,
God, you're so smart and you just know so
not up
much.
to us two idiots. So, anyways,
No. It's just we're just giving our opinion and stuff, and I'm just rambling while Joe tells me I'm dumb.
yeah. And again, what you're hearing on broadcasts, like again, if you can specifically hear one person on broadcast, they are sitting next to a crowd mic in which the broadcast is picking up. Players are not hearing that one person. There's literally like the clip of Study on the desk when someone makes a fart noise into the crowd mic because that person found the crowd mic.
Dude,
The players could not hear someone fart into the crowd mic.
I got tweeted that during that roar, during that moment, someone was like, Drazah's girlfriend was specifically yelling. I'm like, oh, fucking what?
Yeah, maybe you can hear the voice, but I'm telling you,
No.
Yeah.
They didn't up on the stage. I'm saying, like, Drazah's
Yes,
like, what, honey?
exactly.
What, honey? Oh, he's on. Like,
yes. Again, I like as I said when we started this, the crowd mics that you're hearing on broadcast, they are obviously picking up like the what is that the noise filter, the gain is obviously at such a low or high rate, whatever it is, where it's picking up everything so that it sounds louder,
yeah,
which makes
I
it
mean,
more fun.
yeah. I mean, we've
But it's not what's
literally asked for that as commentators. Like sometimes we'll be casting and like we can tell, we hear it, right? Like we're getting in our headset and we're like, listen, that's just not loud enough. I want to be when it's roaring in a hype moment, I want it roaring. And we've asked for it like for them to change it so it picks it up more.
Alex said he could hear her. That's what supposedly said. Well, shit, I don't know then. I'm very surprised by that.
No, I am too. Well,
That
is this
surprised
like,
me.
are we talking in the middle of the roaring, or she was just randomly yelling stuff by herself? She was randomly yelling stuff by herself when it was quiet, then that's a whole nother conversation. I was saying you're not hearing a specific voice when they're roaring. No shot.
I have no idea. Not sure.
Yeah, maybe we're thinking a different moment when it was just like one voice, and that person should just be kicked out of the event. Honestly, if that's happening, like you said, one person's just doing that and shouting, that they should just be gone.
Yeah.
God, you're
yeah.
cute. Did we really just talk for like 2 hours already? What the hell?
Yeah. We're not done yet. We got a little bit left.
I love talking to you, dude.
Also announced, thanks to Maven over here, he was on the segment. Next Call of Duty, COD Next, September 15th. We're gonna figure out a multiplayer reveal, the future of Warzone, Warzone mobile experience, and live gameplay from your favorite streamers. More to come. I mean, pretty awesome, event. The multiplayer reveal, as well as Warzone 2 stuff on the way. That's gonna be a big moment for COD, for competitive, for Warzone.
Yeah, it's just I think COD before, if you're going back before like 2 years ago, you just had like the main title, right? You had whatever COD it was every year. Now you've got COD Mobile, you've got Warzone, you've got whatever's coming, you've got the next title. I think it's become this little like metaverse or whatever you want to call it. It's like this little universe within COD, and now I think there's like let's bring it all together and kind of show it all off. But it's actually wild when you think about like what COD is right now versus like 3 years ago. Just with
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
How big COD Mobile is, how big Warzone is. Those are like completely different games.
Zombies. I mean, you won't have zombies here, but it's another addition to it. Like,
Yeah, but like that, those have at least that's been part of like the titles kind of year to year over the past. Like they've just sort of just added like two full functioning, like persistent online games to the universe that have just exploded the last couple of years. So, I think it's
how you feel about everything, Maeve?
With what, like next year?
Yeah, let's how you feeling about it? Maybe from
I'm gonna be okay. I'll just be blunt. I don't give a fuck about that anymore. There was a long time where I stressed about things I could not control. I wanted to go to battle and argue and be in 40,000 conversations about the competitive direction of a game. My days with that are done because you just talk in circles. I have no control over it. The fact is, if this year proved anything, people are going to watch whether it's a good competitive title or not. What I care about more, which you may disagree with, I want a good, fun game that appeals to the masses before anything at this point. Give me, if Modern Warfare 2 pops off and people are loving to play Call of Duty, I'm good. It might not be the perfect competitive game. I know it sure as hell won't be. I just want a good, fun game that people want to play because I think that will trickle down to us in some ways. the world I desire is a world we don't need to talk about because we'd sit here and talk about for an hour, and it's going to take time.
All right.
So that's where I'm at.
Sounds good. So if you missed that September 15th, see what happens. See what happens. And then after that, we have the beta, the Modern Warfare 2 beta. That starts the 16th on PlayStation. Yeah, for the first weekend on PS5, PS4. And then weekend 2 is open to everything. So this will be our first look at Modern Warfare 2. We had the beta. We had the MW beta.
I'm looking forward to it because I just think I'm not the biggest multiplayer guy anymore. I love commentating. I love watching it, but I just don't grind it a lot. But the first week or two are always a blast. And I'm going into this one playing controller again. Oh, let me tell you, mouse and key pubs was tough at times.
A tough one, huh? Yeah. It was tough.
I don't know. I'm excited. I feel you always get excited for like a new COD. Just see how it is and try stuff. And you can tell me what guns to use and what attachments.
Yeah, those days are long over for this guy. Long over. I think that pretty much does it. Now we'll do questions for us from the Reddit. Let's see how many questions do we got. We got a good amount. Okay, this guy asked like 5. Bruin. So let's see. Here is a good one for you. We talked about the LA Thieves lose to Boston. That we talked about that. Okay. Do you think the YouTube versus Twitch debate has any merit? Should the CDL look to stream on Twitch, or is the money / better streaming experience worth it to stick with YouTube?
I guess at my core, I just kind of want to be on everything. There is some stuff I love about watching it on YouTube. I don't know what the future of that is going to be because I don't think Twitch is really offering big deals to streamers or games anymore. So I think it might be a little more open platform. But that's what I want. I think the reality of the situation is with anything broadcast wise, the people producing the content want to be profitable. That's the reason. I mean, just look back to television, whatever it is, CBS, NBC buying the rights to have so many football games. Like Amazon paid $1 billion for Thursday night football games. Like that money is important. It is. I just don't know that the number is big enough that it's not like a game changer like it is in sports yet. Will the broadcast deals maybe get to that someday? Maybe. I think that's the hope from everybody that we get there. We're not there yet. So I just want it on everything. I want as many eyes on it as possible. But do I think if it was only Twitch or only YouTube, there would be that big of a difference? I actually don't think it's as big of a difference as people make it out to be. If there's a consistent home for it, people will watch. I think the only time that it really pays off on Twitch where there's like the more just eyes randomly go to it by looking at the overall channels is probably for like really big events. And there's some, but I think there are some people that think if we went back to Twitch, suddenly our viewership doubles. And I think those people are fucking blasted. But I just hope it's on everything.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If it's on everything, then maybe we can have some watch parties. That'd be awesome. Just you and I bullshitting.
I see. Let's say we do part-time next year. If that's what ends up happening, if we can get like a clean feed without like the caster voices and stuff, just a clean feed of the broadcast, and you and I can just talk over it and be ourselves, I'm with that because I want to talk how I like to talk while I cast or chat. I'm a naughty girl.
You are. Yeah, we could get freaky.
Yeah.
We get really freaky. Okay, I like this one. Oh, this is from Jonesy. Which would be the better COD player? Joe's gun skill with Clint's brain or Clint's gun skill with Joe's brain?
Second one without question.
Clint's gun skill with my brain?
Yeah. I can shoot straight. I'm just a dumbass. That's how I've been in every game. Even when I was like semi-pro in Halo or whatever I was. Like I could 3-shot anyone with a pistol, but I didn't know what was going on.
My gun skill though with Clint's brain. There might be a few of those in the league though. So I don't know. There already might be a few of those in the league. I mean, there might be a few of those in the league, honestly.
There are things I want to say right now. I'm gonna just hold that in.
I don't know, man. There are some really, I mean, I saw it this weekend and there are some just really dumb things that happen and I laugh. Oh man,
I don't know. There's benefits to both, but I think the second would be a better all-around player. I do.
Okay, that's
And
fair.
think about the moments where like you're dead and you just like coach me and I just do good things because you just are my brain for me. You tell me what to do and I fry. But when I have to do both,
Yeah, I know. I hear you. All right, last question. We'll do a fun one. Mike Stim says, "Would you rather fight one capsule-sized Nero or five Nero-sized capsules?" What is this?
repeat that.
Would you rather fight one capsule-sized Nero or five Nero-sized capsules?
I think I'm going with the one because
Yeah, you're a pretty big boy.
yeah, I'm a big dude and like something about 5 mini capsules run at me. I'm out.
But
I'm
here's the thing
out.
is Nero's not even that small. Like, he's smaller, but like he's like probably like, I don't know, 5'6", 5'7", right?
A capsule shrunk down to that size, like, dude, that he is
Five
that,
of them.
that's a bowling ball. 5 of them coming at you.
It's just frying you, dude. Just frying you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the one. Just the one. Just
That's torn ACL, MCL on both knees, bro. Just
yeah,
comes right
Nero's
at
not
me.
like that small. I'll take my chances with the one for sure. I'll take my chances with the one. All right. Thank you guys for asking those questions. Yeah, we post on the COD competitive Reddit every week. Well, every episode. That's where we get our questions from at the end. So yeah, I think that's. I don't think. I think that's pretty much it. Champs is done. Crazy. It went fast.
Yeah,
The competitive year's over.
so we still have several episodes to do what we're gonna do in the off season. Once I actually don't even know all the dates, but once we have them all locked in, we'll be tweeting and stuff. So keep an eye on Toronto's socials and ours. I'm not sure where the next one is off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get that figured out.
Yeah,
And we want to know. The plan is to hopefully the plan is to obviously have a lot more players on in the off season. There could be roster mania. I think you and I think we're talking to Octane to try to get him on, just to hear about the Thieves year, the insights, talk to him about some of the big questions and discussions we've had as a community, and honestly, just how it felt
yeah.
to win the last couple events.
I kind of want to turn this thing into sort of what I wanted Hot Mic to be for a long time. Like, I'd have 4 people on and we'd be going through all this stuff and playing games and doing history, but it's just too many people. Like, I always wanted to be like one person. You just really get to the meat of it, right? Like, there's shit people don't know about him, stories people haven't
Yeah.
heard. I've always kind of wanted that, so I'm hoping. I think a one-on-one setting is probably normal for that, but I think Joe and I, just with our like chemistry and stuff, could be great. Just you have that pro player experience, I have whatever the hell's in my head, and we just chat with a player. I think we
Yeah,
want
we're
to
gonna talk
dive
about
into
some
that.
weird shit. That's for Steve Resh for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you made it, dude. You made it. I think you only like screwed up like 6 words or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
take
pretty good. That's pretty good. 12 hours of sleep. And you said you were on different universe to me multiple times today, so you did a great job.
I was.
You
Yeah, I had to really
you were
lock
taking
in.
this through the script, like you were killing it, dude.
I'm proud of myself. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for episode 4 of the Toronto Ultra Merk and Maven podcast. We love you all very much. If you tuned in live, we love you as well. If you're listening to us on any of the places where you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, if you're watching us on YouTube,
Your ears. We're inside
thank
your
you
ears.
very much. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next episode.